Hey everybody, this is Matt. It is November, the week of Thanksgiving, the year 2020. To kind of catalog where we're at in timeline of things that are happening around the world, I just want to come to you with a quick update of things that are happening. I would just briefly want to talk about the election and the status of where we are in that. Basically, who knows? It looks like Biden's going to become the next president, but President Trump has not given up his fight through the judicial system of trying to reverse the election. We know of all the the accusations of fraud, and it looks like there is fraud that's happened, but we don't know to the extent of what it is, and will it be enough to overturn the elections? We just don't know. But I would just ask you to consider just preparing yourself to buckle in and be ready for who knows what. I mean, there could be complete chaos through all this, and leading to more rioting and division, or things could mellow out a little bit. We'll just wait and see. God is up to something. We just don't know what it is, and I'm anxious to find out what it is. And so, what I really wanted to talk to you about tonight on this day of Monday is there's a couple of things that are happening. One was kind of overnight and done in secret. Another thing came out later today that's this in the wide open, and I want to talk about these two things just briefly. First, the thing that was done overnight in secret. So, as you know, our Secretary of State Pompeo has been in the Middle East for a while now, making his rounds to different countries, promoting the Abraham Accords and other things. I'm sure there's a lot of things he's discussing with Middle Eastern leaders in regards to the consequences of losing the election, and he's trying to get things in order there. One particular meeting happened last night that is of special interest, and it is a meeting between Secretary of State Pompeo, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, and his chief of the Mossad, and then also the leader in Saudi Arabia, his last name is Salman, met. All three of these met. I know there was this rumor that Boris Johnson of Great Britain was invited. I don't know if he attended or not, but it is a fact that at least these three entities, American Secretary of State Pompeo, Netanyahu, and his chief of Mossad, had, along with Salman of Saudi Arabia, all three met secretly in a city in Saudi Arabia. Now, what they discussed is up for debate. I know the meeting was around 4 to 5 hours, and the interesting thing about this meeting is that with the transition beginning to happen from President Trump's leadership in America to possibly elect Biden, it appears that maybe the Saudis are trying to get some things done quickly. And we know that Saudi Arabia has always been the big fish in this Abraham Accords. They came out yesterday, just one day earlier, and said that they want normalization with Israel, but they're waiting because they also want a deal done between Israel and the Palestinians first before they make that normalization deal with Israel. So there's speculation about a couple things that could be happening from this meeting. One is a deal is in place between the Palestinians and the Israelites, and the Saudis are, talking about how to make this known. I mean, I've always felt like perhaps a deal between Israel and the Palestinians would come out of the blue. That it wouldn't be, we wouldn't read a lot of reports, weeks and months in advance. That it would just happen and the reason for that is because of the tension in the Middle East that could be created from that kind of deal happening. But I'm not sure if that's what's going on. I suspect there's one of two other reasons why they met. One is that they are discussing ways to remove Abbas, the PLO leader, and replace him with another man that I've talked about in previous videos, that the UAE and the Saudis have prepared to take over the PLO, and this man would be favorable to creating peace with Israelis. I know that Abbas is very opposed to it. So that could be one possibility. I think there's a better chance of that than actually a peace deal being done already. But another possibility is that the Saudis, the Americans, of course the Israelis, are all discussing possible war-type maneuvers against the nation of Iran. Iran has become a real big threat. And now with the possibility of Joe Biden taking over as president, that threat is looming even larger in the Middle East. You know, the Saudis are, against the Iranians. The Iranians pose a great and dire threat in the Middle East. So perhaps they're discussing some kind of maneuvers. I know there's been chatter all over news sites and Twitter and places like that about the possibility of America partnering with the Israelis and perhaps the Saudis to make a strike on Iranian troops who are in Syria. So I think the chances of this meeting, the chances of, or the possibilities of either discussing warlike maneuvers or discussing ways to create an opportunity to get a peace deal done between the Palestinians and the Israelis are the two top reasons why they met. It's fascinating. They did it in secret overnight because whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to keep hush. The problem is that they got caught. Netanyahu's plane was tracked there. Netanyahu has admitted to being there. We knew that Pompeo was there. So there's much more going on behind the scenes than what we know about right now. So I would ask you just to keep your eye open on the Middle East and what's happening there. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is a report came out today that China, of all people, has recommended to the United Nations that there be some sort of tracking mechanism to be created for international flights. In other words, with this COVID vaccine, in other words, they're recommending to the United Nations that if a person wants to fly internationally, that they must get the vaccine and they must have some kind of documentation, some way of being tracked about it before they can fly internationally. I don't think it has anything to do with domestic flights, as far as like, say, us flying within the states here. I don't think that's in play yet. But as far as international flight, I think you can pretty much expect that if you want to fly internationally once these vaccines come out, you're going to have to get a vaccine for COVID-19. And to me, that is just one step closer to mandating vaccines, to tracking people, which this kind of thought and philosophy is one step closer to the New World Order system being implemented in the world as far as tracking people. Perhaps governments will try to mandate the vaccine. Perhaps our government would try to mandate it, perhaps governors. I don't know. I just can't see it. It's one thing to mandate mask wearing because it's something that you put on your body and you take off your body, but to mandate something going in your body, I just can't see it. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I know that many governmental leaders want to make it mandated. They have come out and said, we want to plunge the needle in your arm if that's what it takes to get you to get the vaccine. I know many people are going to refuse the vaccine. But in the short term, I think we're going to see pretty soon something put in place for international travel concerning the vaccine. And you're going to be expected to have a vaccine and some kind of documentation about it if you want to fly out of the country. So it's just a couple of interesting things that are going on right now to keep an eye on top of all the election stuff. I'm fascinated with the election stuff and see what's going to come of it. I mean, who knows? There's all kinds of stuff being said. Who knows if any of it's true? I don't have personal sources anywhere as far as government goes that could give me any kind of in-depth stuff. I know people who do, and there's a few people that I know that do have people inside government, and not just inside the government, but people of knowledge. And these sources are telling people that I know that President Trump's planning on fighting to the end, and they believe that he has a good chance to see the election results overturned in his favor. Who knows? So there's a lot going on. All I know is we are progressing forward into one world system. How quickly will it take place? Who knows? What does a Biden presidency in America mean on the world stage? I think it brings some credibility to the Palestinians because the Palestinians have a relationship with him. They're open to coming to the peace table with him. Perhaps God, used President Trump internationally to get the peace deals to a certain stage to where the Abraham Accords could be on the table, and then God needs to remove President Trump in order to bring another person on the stage, whether it be Biden or a European figure, which is my feeling that if Trump is removed, that it will open the door for somebody on a European table to come and close the deal, if you will, to these Abraham Accords between Israel and the Palestinians. The Bible says that the Antichrist will confirm the covenant, which means there's a covenant in place, not one that he creates from scratch. So I think these Abraham Accords could be the foundation of that covenant, which will be based on Abraham chapter 15, as I've discussed in other videos. And I think that the Antichrist will be involved in getting that peace deal done. But who knows? We may see war before we see that happen. If the Saudis and the Americans and the Israelis all come together and decide they want to strike Iranian targets, it could set off a world war. And we know that Revelation chapter 9 talks about a third world war that'll kill a third of the world's population. We just don't know if it's going to happen before the tribulation starts or after the tribulation starts. We don't know if it's covenant confirming out of Daniel chapter 9 or if it's post, but we know it's going to happen. So there's a lot that can happen between now and the end of the year. A lot going on. Just continue to pray, continue to seek God, have peace, trust him. He knows what he's doing, and he's actively involved in the world stage right now, shaping the nations for the return of Jesus Christ. And once again, that's why I do these videos, is just to get you thinking that we are very close to the second coming of Jesus Christ. I'm not talking about a pre-trib rapture. I'm talking about the literal second coming of Jesus that will set up his 1,000-year reign on this world. So I'm going to post in the description of this video the link to my Facebook page. And on my Facebook page, the In His Name Facebook page, not my personal one, but the In His Name Facebook page, you'll find a link to that. And when you go to my Facebook page, you'll find a couple of articles that talk about the late night deal that I mentioned between the Americans, the Saudis, and the Israelis, and also an article talking about the Chinese proposing a tracking element for international travel. If you like this video, please like it, click it, share it. We want to get the word out. Time is running out. People need, if they haven't already, to consider Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior of their life. Because none of us are promised tomorrow, first of all, but also we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow as far on the world stage. So We need to be ready to escape God's coming judgment and wrath. And the only way that we can do that is through a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.